welcome to Chat and Chill. My name is Sean, and I'm here to chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Hopefully, all of you are doing well. Today, I have a very special guest. She's my godmom. Her name is Theresa Reese, and she's just an incredible person. I love her wisdom. I love her knowledge. So, hi, Miss Theresa. How are you?
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to my precious godson. I am fine, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this presentation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, I guess we can get right into it. So, what is something that has been bringing you joy recently?
I thought about that. There's a lot of things that bring me joy. Watching a sunset brings me joy. Just sitting in peace just brings me joy. And really, just always helping out other people really, really brings me joy. That's my personality. So, whenever I can be a help to somebody, that makes me very happy.
Okay. So next time we got to see the sunset together.
That's right. It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to watch.
Yes. I remember one time it was like raining outside, and it was like raining, and after the fact it was like this beautiful sunset, and it was just beautiful. I had to take a picture of it. It was raining, but it was beautiful.
Hmm.
Yes.
It's credible.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
There's many facets to my life. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll start with my career. I am a chief talent officer for a school district in the city of Camden, New Jersey. That keeps me occupied. I've been a human resources professional for over 20 years. So I get an opportunity. I think that's where the helping people, like working with people, comes from. That brings me a lot of joy. I've held several positions within that opportunity. I'm very blessed to have done that, to grow in that area, and I have risen to the ranks of chief talent officer, which I'm really proud of. It's a really awesome accomplishment, and a really great. I call it my. It is certainly my mission that I look forward to. And then I have a whole second career. How about that? My second career is in the church.
Mhm.
I'm a licensed evangelist. I have been licensed since 2009 as an evangelist. I work alongside my husband, who's a pastor. So we get to do ministry. Um, that's our second full-time job that we do in going through. So that's another really awesome opportunity to interact and to help people.
That's yes. I love that. So you have two different ways of helping people, one in a natural realm and also in the spiritual realm.
It is so true.
Yes. So you're just helping people. I think that's the best part. Just helping people just in general is always a good thing. And we always need some advice whenever we need it. We call on somebody that we know. And just like helping people, it brings me joy personally. I love helping people. Whether if it's like helping
Hmm.
them find their class, like I'm about to go to college, so like helping people find their class, and maybe they don't know what to do, and I can help them out just a tad bit. That see, look, I don't mind helping.
Well, see, and that's part of your personality too, which is great. It's always good, but that's going to help us get into the topic that we're getting ready to go into.
Uh-huh.
Because when we're always people focused,
Mhm.
sometimes we can become people pleasers, and we have
Mm.
to really balance where we're headed and what we're doing.
I know that's right. You better preach. Hey, glory. Uh, so the second question I want to ask: where did you grow up, and how do you think that shaped who you are today?
I grew up in West Philadelphia. I went to public school in the Philadelphia school system. And my parents always kept us in the church, which, I know it's different for people that are not my age, but it wasn't a choice for me whether I went to church or not.
Mhm.
It was an expectation. It was not a discussion. We just knew what we needed to do on Sunday, right?
Mhm.
And we knew what we needed to do sometimes midweek as well to do those things. But I was very, very blessed to be brought up in a church whose pastor really focused on young people and making sure young people were equipped to be able to, one, communicate well with others, and two, really make sure that they shaped their futures and careers in a way that God has created us to do. So my
Mm.
pastor, and that would be the late Bishop O.T. Jones Jr.,
Mhm.
said that there are three major decisions that you're going to make in your life: your life's work, your life's faith, and your life's partner.
Mm.
And he always would tell us about those things. And, we kind of laughed it off as young people, but it's
Mhm.
so true. We have to make the important decision about our life's faith, and we need to make that first.
Mm.
Then sometimes it's a life's work, sometimes it's a life's partner, depending on how life brings it to you.
Mhm.
But it's not by happen chance that we get into the situations and careers that we do. We really need to earnestly lift that up to the Lord and really make sure that that is the way He wants us to go.
So basically, that the pastor, he really instilled into you the core values of like who you are and what and how you're supposed to live your life, and just in different sections of your life. I love that.
Absolutely. He
I love that.
instilled that in all of us. And I'm just so grateful that so many years after that, that was when I was a teenager.
Mhm.
I'm not a teenager anymore, but it's so many years after that, I still remember that. I almost sometimes can hear him say some of those things
Mhm.
because it was so ingrained in us. And I am forever grateful to him
Mhm.
and to his ministry and to my parents for connecting us to that ministry,
Mhm.
that's what we build on today.
Yes. And I believe that there was a part that you were mentioning about just hearing people's voices. Sometimes there are times where like I have like specific people, including yourself,
Hmm.
where I remember parts of a conversation because it was just so meaningful to me and it makes me who I am today. So whether if it's like, like a financial situation, or maybe it may be like a social situation, or just anything I can possibly think of, it's always good to just have someone in your mind that you can think of like, okay, this person told me this thing and now I remember this because that's how important that was at the time. I believe like that's a beautiful thing.
It
Oh,
is certainly a gift. It is
yes,
certainly a gift. Yep.
it is. The question that we're gonna get into it now, because when I tell you this lady has really helped me, when I tell you about hearing voices, she has the voice for me of boundaries. That's not our topic today. We're going to talk about boundaries because a lot of times it can be just a lot with people. Just it can be a lot just dealing with yourself and how to set those boundaries correctly. And one thing I love about my godmom is that she always have instilled that in me. And even as my parents have done that already, she just edified it to like a whole different level, to where it's like the grace and the just the mannerisms of just who you are as a person, to set the boundaries and how you do it in a correct way is just beautiful. It's very beautiful. So we're gonna get right into it now. So when you think of boundaries, how do you define them in your own words?
So that's a really, really interesting question because I think as I contemplate on that, I think I got two definitions for that. So boundaries in itself just set personal limits
Mm,
for ourselves. It defines how we want to be treated and how we will interact with others. And I think that has been like my core definition of boundaries. But now, as life evolves and I see life from different perspectives, I think boundaries have to be almost an interactive communication. So, and what I mean by that, if we're in relationship with somebody, I can't come in with my own boundaries, right? And
mm,
they can't come in with their own boundaries. We would need to talk and set our boundaries together.
mm,
And that would be a healthy way in which to approach that work We don't always get an opportunity to do that, but
Mhm.
I think that's the preferred way in doing it. So it's not just my boundary or your versus your boundary. This is our relationship.
Mm.
So we need to make sure that we're creating our boundaries.
Mm. Together, not as
That's
individuals.
right. That's
That's
right.
good. I love that. So basically having your boundaries and the other person boundaries, but not as a competition, but working together to make sure that we both are on the same page. So like I know what makes you
Exactly.
feel uncomfortable and you know what makes me feel uncomfortable and we're not gonna purposely compromise that relationship because of, the overstepping of where you are in boundaries.
Exactly right. So I don't think we should self-impose our boundaries because sometimes, most times, we don't even communicate our boundaries to people.
That's
We
so
just
true.
let people know when they cross them.
Mhm.
So they don't even know what the boundary is to know not to cross it.
Mm.
So if we set that and have that healthy relationship conversation in that relationship together, we can set them and we can honor them together as we grow.
I love that. And even when you said that part, it brought me back to when like just starting a relationship with someone, sometimes you get
Hmm.
to know who the person is, you want to know what their interests are and different things of that nature. But sometimes you don't really mention the parts of okay, this doesn't make me comfortable or I don't like this because you're trying to get to know the person. But I think eventually once you start to begin to learn who the person is, then you can kind of like go into that gear like now this is what we're going to do since we have an established relationship like a little bit, now you know what makes me with some things that I do like, other things I don't like. You get what I'm trying to say?
Exactly. And we can't always think that people have figured it out on their own.
Yes.
Right. So that's the I call those courageous conversations
Mhm.
that we have with individuals.
Mm.
Hey, I really like you, but we're going to need to talk about some things because I feel disrespected in this,
Mm.
or I just want you to, or I feel uncomfortable when, and it's identifying the need to set boundaries.
Mm.
So, and that may be, or I felt really resentful when you said something or overwhelmed by that. And it's really having that conversation. And if you notice, I didn't say that you made me feel.
Mm.
I said, I feel uncomfortable. I
Mm.
feel resentful, because nobody can tell me how I feel.
Mm. This is
So
good.
I put that on me as opposed to saying, well, you do this to me, you do that to me. Um, because then that starts off in a confrontational conversation. And we don't want it to be confrontational.
Mhm.
We want it to be interactive, but we want to be able to talk about our true feelings.
Yes, that is so true. I love that. When was the moment or experience that really taught you the importance of setting your boundaries?
So I think you're really going to laugh at this,
Okay.
because it's ever evolving. How about that?
Okay.
So my job is very, very taxing.
Mhm.
Um, I deal with all the people issues
Mm.
that happen in that particular arena, and it becomes very demanding. It
Mm.
becomes sometimes very overwhelming to deal with. And I think I got to a point as I continued to mature in life
Mhm.
that I said, um, I need to make sure that I am respecting myself as well as helping other people. So I am one of those people we talked about in the beginning, where
Mhm.
we said we try to be people pleasers.
Mm.
I'm all about people,
Mhm.
but people can be very taxing.
Mhm.
And if I don't teach myself to respect myself,
Mm.
then no one else is going to respect me.
Mm.
So I was on a plane ride one day.
Mhm.
I can't remember. I think I was going to Memphis, and the strain of my job, whatever the thing was at the point, I was sitting in the seat, and I heard the I want to call them stewardesses, but it's not right. Say on the flight. about, the safety rules.
Mhm.
Here are the exits, here's this, here's that, here's the other, here's the third, right?
Mhm.
Then they got to the breathing piece and it said, airbag, the breathing piece may deploy in flight. And if it does, you need to assist self first, then assist others.
Mm.
And that became an eye opening experience for me, just that one piece because of where I am. Because what I realized is that I can't help anybody else breathe if I'm not breathing.
Mm. That's
I have to be able to assist myself first
mm.
so that I can be able to assist others.
That's good.
And I think that was the first light bulb that came on.
Mhm.
Um, and to be totally honest, did I make 100% turnabout? Absolutely not. I went right back into what I was doing before, putting my head down and trying to trudge through.
Mhm.
So I think this is a topic that you kind of keep coming back to.
Mm.
And so it's not for me, it's not a once and done. So I'm trying to make the conversion to
Mhm.
setting and keeping my boundaries. I can't say that I have fully attained that. I
Mhm.
have not. But I'm growing each day.
That's good. I never thought about that airplane situation, 'cause that is true. Because I know I've been on many planes, and they
Mm-hmm.
definitely give you the instructions on what to do, make sure you have your seatbelt on, but that one piece with where you have the airbags and everything of that nature in case something were to happen, I never thought of that. I seriously never thought of that. That's an interesting insight. See? I love it. I love it. I love it.
It was life changing. And it just gave me an aha moment. And
Mhm.
I'm grateful that God gives us those moments
Mm.
to do. And I would love to say, like I said, I would love to say, yep. And since that time, it's been 100%, and I've been free from all of these other things. No, that's not my testimony.
Mhm.
I'm still a work in progress.
Yes, every day.
Um, every day, I'm still a work in progress, and I'm learning how to enforce my boundaries, to communicate them, and to understand them for myself
Mhm.
each day.
That's good. That's good. Now, why do you think setting boundaries are so hard for people, especially in relationships or at work?
So it really depends on the person. Some people are really good at setting boundaries,
Okay.
and I really admire them. And that's probably something that we need to do anyway,
Mhm.
as we are picking our associates and people that we deal with. We really need a different array of people
Mhm.
in our lives.
Mhm.
So we we always want to have people in our circle that do better things than we do.
Mhm.
Can I say that too?
Mhm.
So we don't want to have people that are at the same stage that we're in.
Mm.
We Because we always want to strive to be better. So if whatever we're struggling with, you want to make sure that you have somebody in your circle that you really can communicate well with, that really excels in something that you're trying to achieve.
Mm.
So there are some people that are really, really good with setting boundaries. And then there's some people like me that don't do that as well as others.
Mm.
Um, but it's really important to make sure that we're setting that first, that we understand the need to set boundaries.
Mm.
I think that's part of the battle right there. We know about boundaries, but we need to understand the need to set that. And I want to make sure I'm answering your question. Was that the question?
Uh, yes, well, I guess you answered it in the perfect way because not everybody struggles with setting boundaries. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there are people that know how to set boundaries. So, yes, let's answer the question because some people may be a little bit
Okay.
difficult for, especially like, starting a new relationship or it could be at work or at school. And I think that you mentioning that is so awesome. And I believe, and you actually brought me back to like a memory that I had with me going to college and stuff, I'm putting myself in a position where I have to be social, but then like you also was mentioning like not being so much of a people pleaser. So I want to be
Mm-hmm.
like, I was gonna say I want to be accessible to people. I want them to be accessible to me. but in a sense where it's not too much. And I know for sure for me, I am a flash replier. So if I'm not doing nothing, I will reply fast. And on my and I'm like, okay, now if I reply so fast that I don't think, like how can I say it? Basically, it's just a lot, just me replying every second after they
Hmm.
text. So I want to make sure I give them at least enough space, even though I may tell them like, hopefully me texting back in a fast like how can I say it? Me texting in a fast reply, hopefully that's not too much for you. And I try to let them know. So if I reply so fast, they don't think that, just like me, I'm genuinely excited to get to know who the person is. So that's why I like, okay, well, here we go. We gonna get right into it.
Got you. But as your life continues to
Mhm.
evolve, right? And the
Mhm.
lives of your listeners continue to evolve,
Mhm.
you're not always going to have the time that you have now
That's so
as a
true.
luxury.
That is so true.
Right? When you go to college and you start to study, that's going to take the priority.
Mhm.
So you're in a really just comfortable place right now where you can do that.
Mhm.
But it's going to become a time where you try to get ahead of stuff and you just cannot
Yeah.
get ahead of it.
Yes.
And that is when you really, and for me, that it's important that I identify my need to set boundaries. Because what I cannot
Mm.
do is sit at my computer
Mhm.
24 hours a day
Mhm.
and try to do email.
Mm.
I can't do that because I can't do any work.
Mhm.
So I have to be able to set time frames in
Mm.
which I can do that
Mhm.
and make sure that people are should they be coming to me or should they be going to somebody else?
That's good.
So no, and if they should be going to somebody else, then it's my job to make sure that they understand
Mhm.
the who.
Yeah, cause I like, going back to, what you were saying, like, sometimes, like you said, I won't always have that time. So, I know that, like, there's times, like, even though I do have, like, section blocks of
Hmm.
when to do homework, when to just like hang out. Cause I had like some free time from my morning class to my afternoon class. So like I know that if I had work that day, I will definitely be doing my work on that day. I'm not gonna just be going around because I know everybody have their own major, they have their own thing. So I think the first week of me getting to know people is like, like that's the welcome week where we're going in trying to see everything because everybody's in the same boat. We're all nervous, we're all going through the same
That's
thing.
right.
So but I love
That's
that
right.
because how can I say? Because once I go into class, I have to set those boundaries. Okay, I have homework to do. I can't be going to this event, and how can I say vice versa? Or if I'm going to an event and I can't do everything else, if basically.
Right, but and I love it because you have to set a balance, right?
Yes.
Because you can't always study
Yes.
and you can't always party. Although
Yes.
you shouldn't be partying, but
Yeah.
anyway, you can't always you can't
Yeah.
always hang out with friends. There has to be a
Balance.
balance,
Yes.
and sometimes we get to a place where we out where one side outweighs the other side, and it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. So we have to really lift that before the Lord to help us to do that balance because we can get swayed either way because we want to impress, we want to do because we want to do well in school, right? But we also want to be social. We also want to do some other things as well. So we just want to make sure that we're doing a healthy balance.
When it comes to just like, yeah, you said not partying. I'm hollering. That's so funny. I know, I know. I would be in the church. Hey, glory. Um, but but what are some common misconceptions people have about boundaries?
Well, we talked a little bit about that in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. I think
Yeah.
people think that I have boundaries for myself and
Mm-hmm.
you need to figure them out
Mm-hmm.
because I have these boundaries and
Mm-hmm.
we've never communicated that to anybody. So I don't know. I don't know what your boundaries are. The only reason I know that is because you're telling me I crossed them.
Mm.
And then you're telling me that I got a boundary. Well, it would have been helpful to know what your boundary was up front,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe I wouldn't have crossed them
Yes.
in in going through. So I think that's a misconception. And what I had said too, even in a relationship, and even in a work relationship, there's some things that we may or may not want to do in our career. And really being upfront and letting people know that
Mhm.
um, takes courage
Yes.
because, probably not as much for your generation as it is for mine, but it takes a lot of courage
Yes.
to get there and say, hey, I don't want to climb up the corporate ladder, right?
Mm.
I just want to do my job. I want to do what I need to do. I want to do that well, and I want to move on. That means I don't want to work every weekend.
Mm-mm.
I there may be some weekends that I work, but I don't want to work every weekend.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. I want to spend my life with my family, and I want to be part of that. But if I don't communicate that, then people don't know that.
That's true.
And that's why we have to have, I can't just come into that relationship with my boundaries, not communicate what my boundaries are, and expect for somebody to honor them. It's really setting those boundaries together
Mhm.
in that relationship, and even in relationships that we have with people, whether that
Mhm.
be friend, whether that be girlfriend, whether that or boyfriend, spouse, whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
having that courageous conversation about, hey, these are some things that really um, are overwhelming to me, or that give me pause, is what I say sometimes,
Mm.
and then again, I'm talking about me, I'm not talking about the other person.
Mm.
And it's really having that courageous conversation with people to make sure, and I think that's a different way of thinking about boundaries, because we think about, well, self-preservation.
Mhm.
This is good for me. Don't treat me this way, da da da. But we need to make sure that people understand, because it's a reason why we set the boundary.
That's
I guess
true.
that's where I'm headed. There's an experience that we had that we don't want to experience again.
The trauma.
So we want to make sure that we set that boundary so that we don't experience that again.
Mm.
But when I'm coming into a relationship, I can't assume that that person understands my experience
Mm.
or even appreciates my experience.
Wow.
I know it was meaningful for me, but I
Mhm.
can't expect that with this other person.
Mhm.
So it's having that kind of conversation. So I'm not saying that, hi, my name is Theresa, and here are my boundaries. Let's
Mm.
have this conversation. It takes some time, right?
Yes.
You have to develop that friendship. You have to develop that relationship so that you are able to have those courageous conversations.
That is good. That is really good. You brought me back to a place of when I actually did an episode a few weeks ago, and I was talking about overthinking. And I was going through the process of how when I started going to community college for for the first time, how I overthought everything to the point, like
Mm-hmm.
just like in a social aspect, not just academically, because academically was already one thing, but in a social aspect, because even though I had people to talk to, I really didn't know how I had to navigate college. And that was totally different than being in high school. So I remember going on SEPTA and like there's like a little like space in between like the door. You probably know what I'm talking about. And like you go into like that space and you like there's like there are people like you can stand there in the door and you have to like look up and look around because I don't want to look you in the face, and like smile
Okay.
because how can
Yeah.
I say it's kind of like awkward in a sense.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that. And I remember going into college and the people I was starting to meet and stuff, I really didn't want to have the experience of what I have been through in the past. So I was
Mm-hmm.
being very vulnerable and letting them know that
Mm-hmm.
this is what I have experienced before. So in this
Right.
friendship, if you can understand my past experience and help me overcome it, then I'll be great. I will become better. And I think it's amazing how God works sometimes, how God will put people in your life to help you and assist you in different areas that you need. And I remember being in class, talking to my friends and getting the book and not having the book, entering the conversation. I'm thinking I'm butting into the conversation, but it became into a beautiful friendship. And there were times, like I said, we went
See?
around in school and talked to different people. But yeah, and even when I set those boundaries, I told them, I'm like, I may not be able to be here all the time,
That's
because
right.
I'm still working on myself, and I feel like that's the boundary I told them beforehand. So, yeah, like I said, that. that right there, you just like you really made me think about that time of my life and how now I'm going to a whole different time now and how I can like really work on that in that space.
Absolutely. So we're always working on ourselves, right?
Yes, that's so true.
In Colossians, and I don't want to make this all spiritual,
Yeah.
the third chapter, it talks about what we should put on and what we should take off, right?
Mm,
And it says that we got to clothe ourselves with things all the time.
amen.
So we clothe ourselves with humility. We clothe ourselves with love. We clothe ourselves with self control. That's a whole big thing in itself, right?
Mhm.
And we have to make sure that part of that clothing are our boundaries.
Mhm.
And that's okay to do, as well, as long as we're having those healthy conversations and we're not
Mhm.
being a dictator as we're giving those boundaries to other people.
Mm. That's good. Yes, and actually, the next question was going to be,
Mhm.
how do you personally decide when and how to set boundaries? And I believe we already talked about that already. It's like letting them know, like kind of like basically like once you get into like the gist of everything and stuff, like getting to know people and stuff, you get to know what they do like and what they don't like, and just trying to set
Mhm.
those boundaries. So yeah, so I think like I said, we answered that question. So if you can give me a specific time where there was a difficult boundary, like there was something that was like, "Oh, I don't think I want to do, touch that or do that thing," and how did it turn out?
So let me think of a time, a difficult boundary and how it turned out. Um, so let's go to work because that's where most of my boundaries are set.
Mhm.
I was asked to do something,
Mhm.
by my supervisor that, I really thought needed to be done by somebody else.
Mm.
So, um, I was going to just put my head down and just do it because it came from my superior, because I
Mhm.
thought that was the right thing to do. But that gave me a little bit of pause.
Mhm.
So I had to go back and do this conversation with my supervisor. So let me help me understand why this is something that I need to do.
Mm.
I understand I'm equipped to do it, and I appreciate that. I really do. I really do appreciate that. But just because I'm equipped to do something doesn't mean that it's not that it has to come from me.
I
It
love
can
that.
come from somebody else.
I love that.
And I used kind of Jesus as my example
Mhm.
because Jesus was equipped to heal all manner of sickness and disease,
Mhm.
but that was not his mission.
Mm.
His mission was to come and to die on the cross to save the world. So, did he heal people along the way? Yes, he did. But did he eradicate sickness and disease? No, because that was not his mission. So
Mm.
just because I was good at doing something didn't necessarily mean that I was the only person that had to do it.
Mm.
Um, and my supervisor agreed. I said I'd be willing to help the other person get to where they need to be, but I don't think it should be mine. And I think that was a really good boundary for me because that would have been one more thing that I would have had to do.
Mhm.
That could have made me uncomfortable. It could have made me resentful. It definitely would have made me overwhelmed because I had a whole lot to do.
Mhm.
But I'm thankful that I could speak from that experience and say, hey, I can equip someone else to do that. All in all, it did turn out well. We did figure that out
Mhm.
as we went through. And I think that empowered that other person as well to do those things.
You know, I know sometimes, we both understand that people may call and ask, like, could you do this thing? Could you do that thing? And it's not like most times, we're saying yes. Yeah, I
Yep.
can do that. Yes, I can do that. But how can I say there are certain times where life get busy or there may be a life threatening emergency or just an emergency in general where we can't make that thing happen. We can't do this thing or do that thing. So we have to like kind of
Mhm.
reevaluate and be like, you know what, I may have to just have somebody else do that for the time being. And then maybe, in the future, I could do that. Or maybe just not do it at all.
Okay,
So
exactly.
yeah.
And we talked about this before, Sean.
Hmm.
No is a complete sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Period.
It's a complete sentence.
Yep.
So, and that's being honest, that's
Mm-hmm.
being direct. And sometimes people don't like directness,
Mm-hmm.
but it's being honest for ourselves. And I know the scripture says, let your yes be yes and let your no be no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to commit to something that I'm going to be someplace or do something and not show up.
Mm.
So if I can't do it, I just have to be honest with in that moment and say, I just can't do that. Or I think somebody else is better suited, and maybe not even better suited. It's more appropriate for someone else to do this other than myself.
That is good. Yes, for sure. And it's so funny since we're talking about saying no. The next question was for someone who struggles saying no, where is a good place to start? That
With the
is
first no. Can I say that? It's
yes,
with the first no.
just the first no.
It's the first no. It really is. It's freedom. It
Mhm.
really is freedom.
Mhm.
And it's okay to be honest,
Mhm.
but we do it in a way that is respectful of
Yes.
others. So we don't have to be cruel when we say no.
Yes.
Now, thank you for extending that opportunity, but I don't think that's something that I would like to explore at this time.
Mm.
Thank you so much. I still said no, but I was still respectful
I
in what
love
I
it.
said.
I love
I
that.
don't, or at this point, my schedule's not going to permit me to do X, Y, Z. Thank you so much for extending that opportunity to me.
Mhm.
I still said no.
That's good. So just saying no by itself is good.
He's like, we just have to start and really understand, is that something that's crossing one of your boundaries?
Mm.
So, we say no for a couple of things. We say no because we're scared. We say
Mhm.
no because we just don't want to do something.
Mhm.
But if we can do it, I say do it if that's something that we can do. But if that's something that really crosses our boundary,
Mhm.
then I think it just starts with the first no.
That's good. Is what are the signs that someone has crossed your boundaries?
When you feel
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable, right?
Yes. Yes.
When
Yes.
you feel resentful, right?
Mhm.
Why did I do that? Why didn't I just say no? Why, that kind of thing. When I
Mhm.
feel just really overwhelmed,
Mhm.
you got to pay attention to your feelings. I know we can't put a whole lot of trust in our feelings because our feelings will fail us.
That's so true.
Please know that
Yes.
our feelings will fail us.
All the time sometimes.
So, but we can't completely dismiss our feelings either.
Mhm.
Our feelings kind of help us understand where we are.
That's so
So
true.
I'm feeling, it was like, man, I was like, I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this situation, or, I'm really regretting that I said yes.
Mhm.
And so we just got to make sure um, that we're not completely trusting them, but not ignoring our feelings either.
I know that's right. I thought about like your gut feeling. I'm sure everybody heard of that.
Absolutely.
There have been times where you had that gut feeling. You're like, well, this one thing or this one person doesn't seem to be who they say they are, and I'm starting to have this feeling like I don't know if I should trust them or not. And then I promise you, if you trust your gut feeling, it's more than likely right.
So,
Most of the
and
time,
it's so true. I call that my spidey sense.
yes.
So,
Spider Man.
when right, that's right. When the hairs on your neck start to stand up,
Mhm.
or you start to reflect, I mean, you can't completely ignore that.
Mhm.
Your body is helping you. Your mind is helping you process
Mm.
some things, and you just want to make sure that you're processing them in the right way.
Yes.
So you can't put your full trust in feelings. Feelings will fail you. Please understand that.
Mhm.
But you cannot ignore them either. So you pay attention to your feelings.
How do you handle someone's reaction to your boundaries? And this is in a sense where it is a negative reaction.
Hmm. Hmm. So fortunately, I haven't really experienced that.
Okay.
Um, but and maybe it's the way that I say the no.
Okay.
or they just don't give it to me in a negative way. I'm sure a lot of people don't appreciate my no, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
The no is my boundary for me.
Mhm.
So I think I would probably say, I'm really sorry that you're having some challenges in accepting my boundary, but my boundaries are my boundaries, and I have to enforce them
Mhm.
as best I can, because that's another piece, especially for people like me.
Mhm.
I don't want to call myself a people pleaser, but
Mhm.
I'm a people person.
That love that.
And I have to make sure I'm enforcing the boundaries that I've set.
Yes.
So, example today, I am, I don't know when this is going to air, but anyway, I'm off today. I'm scheduled off today, right, from my job. But I get a phone call today from my job. And I know I've set at least 2 weeks in advance that I'm going to be off. It's probably even more than that.
Mhm.
And I know I put my out of office on my calendar
Mhm.
that I was off. And I kind of know that I was off because you didn't even call me on my work phone.
Mhm.
You called me on my personal cell phone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I had to make the decision: am I going to answer the call or am I not going to answer the call?
Mhm.
And I made the decision: I am on a personal day today.
Mm.
It is I had to enforce my boundary.
I love
If
it.
it is an emergency, I left instructions of what needed to be done
Mm.
if it was an emergency. And that didn't involve calling me.
I know that's right. No, no, but seriously though, seriously, like I'll laugh. I'm sitting over here laughing, but seriously though, because sometimes you have to have something planned out. If I let's see, if I don't make it today, or if something happens, I'ma have this outline for you, and it says what it says. It has everything for you.
Everything that you needed was on my out of office. So I
Yes.
think we just got to be prepared for the pushback, because people want what they want too.
Mm,
And people are not always going to be happy when you set a boundary.
that is true.
And they really may try to challenge it. They may try to dismiss it. They may try to ignore it. But we have to stand in that truth of the boundary that we've set. I don't take off much time,
Hmm.
but I don't call people when they're on a day off and I know that they're off, even if I find out that they're on a day off. Oh, call me when you get back.
Basically, do not disturb, and I'll turn it back on when I'm ready.
I will, right, because I need to unplug. I
Yes,
need to unplug, and then when I'm back, I'm back. When I'm there 100%.
yes. And
Um,
when I,
right.
yeah, that's so true. And then when I'm off, I'm off.
When
100%.
I'm off, I should be off. I should be
100%.
off.
Yep.
That's right.
In the bed, sleep, eating food, watch, doing my own thing.
That's right.
Yes.
Exactly. Doing whatever. If it's reading a book, if it's whatever I need to do,
Hmm.
it's my time to do that.
Yes. Yes. What is one simple boundary we can all start practicing today?
Hmm. That's a hard one. I don't know if it's a one size fit all.
Okay.
Um, I think you just really need to identify what your needs are
Mm,
for boundaries. Like we talked about, pay attention to your feelings, be aware of yourself, your emotions, right?
mm-hmm,
Don't completely trust them, because you feelings will fail you.
mm-hmm,
And then find out what that's for you.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then what I can say is this: it may not be a simple boundary, but whatever boundary you set, just start with a small thing,
Mm-hmm.
a very small thing, and then manage your way up to more challenging ones.
Mm-hmm.
So a boundary may be, when I take my lunch, I'm going to take my lunch,
Yes.
right? For whatever, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever the case may be. And I just want to eat my lunch. I don't want to do email. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to eat my lunch,
Mm-hmm.
and just be true to that. Will you get some interruptions? Yeah. And that needs to be some modifications to your boundaries, because if there is an emerging issue that can't wait for you to get back. If it's an emergency, yes, get in contact with me. But other people, struggle to understand what the true meaning of emergency means. Can I say that?
Hmm.
It may not be an emergency, but it's something that you just want to get off your plate right now. That's not an emergency. So just start small.
So small steps every day, everybody. Small steps
That's
every
right.
day. I love that. How has your faith influenced your perspective on boundaries?
We talked a little bit about that.
Hmm.
I am so grateful for my faith, um, and my upbringing in the faith.
Mm,
So I have been not always saved, but always in the church.
mm,
And that's a true confession. So, and I'm grateful that that has shaped my life.
mhm,
Um, and it certainly influences my boundaries. Like we said, we, there is a scripture, I want to say in Proverbs, that talks about a little bit. It doesn't quite say boundaries, but I take it to mean boundaries. Can I say that?
okay.
So it says, like, guard your heart above all else.
Mm,
For it determines the course of your life. That's like a revised standard version.
hmm,
Guard your heart with all diligence,
hmm,
I think is what King James says. Your heart is really an important piece.
mm,
And because that's in scripture, and scripture talks to us about self-control, you
mm,
know um, the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, faithfulness. Love, joy, peace. Just stop there. If when I set boundaries, I get peace,
mm,
because I'm not overwhelmed by something else.
mhm.
So I think it's living out those scriptures in a way that, and we talked a little bit even about Jesus's boundaries
That's so true.
that he had, in his prayer and his reflection, even with, as we talked about, performing miracles and things. He could have eradicated sickness,
Mhm,
but that wasn't the calling for him right then.
mhm,
So kind of that was a boundary. So he had to stay focused on the task at hand
mhm.
and what he was called to do.
Yes.
So my faith has greatly influenced, my perspective on boundaries. I can't say I've always honored it because, we've been true through this whole conversation,
Mhm.
but it helps me to keep moving in the right direction and feel comfortable that it's okay for me to breathe.
I love
It's
that.
okay for
Mhm,
me to breathe.
mhm,
Because if I don't breathe, then I can't help others. I cannot help others breathe.
mhm. That's good. I love that. And I think that going to the next question, but then also like just
Mhm.
just talking, like that is such an important part. Like even like what our faith is just so good to think about. We try to do everything in a Christ-like manner. So I want to
Mhm.
always show people that we have love for them, that we thank them and that we appreciate them. And then, when it comes to the boundary aspect of it, if it's not being met, we will let you know, but we're not going to, be mean about it. We're going to be like, you know what? I appreciate you. Like you said, I appreciate you, but at this time, I'm not doing that. And going to the next question, having people that are in the faith, like having people that are in the community that are faith based, how do you think that they can support you with help setting boundaries? Even though I know that you have to set boundaries for yourself, because I would say everybody boundaries are different, but like how can
Mhm.
other believers help you set healthy boundaries?
So that's a really interesting question. I think you have to be careful
Okay.
of who you put in that circle,
Okay.
because I don't think everybody can help you,
That's so true.
because I think everybody is struggling.
That is true, to be honest. Yes.
But you need to make sure that you have, a good perspective
Mm.
of someone. That's what we talked about when we're looking to build our circle. We're always looking to build our circle with individuals who are better at other things than we are,
Mm-hmm.
because that helps us to grow,
Yes.
right? That stretches us to get to another piece, because then we can be intrigued at their approach to things so that we can make sure that we're growing.
That's good.
And I think as we find those out in that community,
Mm-hmm.
that would be helpful to do,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure. So I don't think it's everybody, but I'm sure that we can find some people that will help us build healthy boundaries. And I'll say this too: it's not always um, therapy is another option to help
Mm-hmm.
us through those pieces.
Yes.
I know sometimes that's taboo in the church, but there are Christian therapists
Yes.
that
Yes.
can help us, um, that are objective because they don't know us.
That's so true.
We're giving them our situation,
Mm-hmm.
and they're helping us to come to a better conclusion, a better place. And that's a more objective way to get Christian counseling.
Mm-hmm.
We can certainly, I would hope that our pastors would be able to guide us through those, and some people that we've been able to. You can see when people have, I really admired how she said no,
Mm-hmm.
or what they did. That may be a good person to connect with, but I don't think everybody in the faith community is going to be able to support us,
I
because I
agree.
think we're just all struggling.
Yes, that's so true. And I believe like a lot of times, like too, like how can I say this in the most nicest way possible? I feel like sometimes people can misunderstand the boundary.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of times when they misunderstand that, then like, like people start talking, like, like like in that sense, like, okay, well this is that. And like we don't want that, but at the same time, like we should already know what our boundaries are. But then also, like you said, we should also have people and be very prayerful about the people that we're choosing. Not everybody can
Thank you.
can be a part of our circle. Not everybody can be a part of our journey. Not
That's
everybody
right.
can be a part of set of our boundaries
That's right.
because some everybody is going through their own thing. Everyone has different
That's right.
traumas. Everyone has their different
Hmm.
things going on. So, like you
Hmm.
said, it really, I guess, it really depends on where you are. And even if you know where you are, where you are in your faith, and even where you are, just who you are as a person, and knowing where your boundaries are, I believe that's the best place to be. And even if it's not just having other people to help you with the boundary, but just to encourage you to keep them, because I believe like that, like that's
Absolutely.
another part too. Not just helping you set boundaries, but also to keep them, because a lot of times, it sometimes it's hard. It's a struggle, and I think that's a lot of times we don't talk
It
about
is
that,
very hard.
and that's
That's right.
a lot
It
of times
is.
we don't talk about that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. We talked about enforcing those boundaries, right?
Yes.
And you
Mhm.
made a very key point, and I want your listeners to really understand that. I was going to say this earlier, but I'm saving it for now.
Mhm.
It is very important to pray our way
Mhm.
through our day. I'm gonna put it that way. So, and that's before we enter in conversations with people,
Mhm.
before we have idle chit chat with people.
Mhm.
We just never know where those conversations are going to go.
Mhm.
Not that it's good, that it's always bad,
Mhm.
but it may be something that I need to say to someone that's going to help somebody in that moment.
Mm.
And I need to be listening, I need to be attentive, and I need to be ready to be able to share that with that person. So praying about who's in our circle is critical, because we're
Mhm.
going back to the 3 points that I got when I was a teenager, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Our life's faith, our life's work, and our life's partner.
Mm.
So even as growing in the faith, you can't always associate yourself with everybody that's in the faith community.
Mhm.
Yeah, I said it. I'm sorry, I said it.
Mhm.
But because everybody may not have your good intentions at
Mm.
heart.
That's preach now. Come on now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you need to be very thoughtful.
Mhm.
You need to be very prayerful of who you let in your inner circle, of who
Mm.
you share your your desires, your goals, your all of your other things. I'll take you back to the story of Joseph. Read it for yourself.
Mhm.
He told his brothers his dream, and he ended up in a pit.
Yeah, it's so true. It was like ready. It was a pitfall
Right?
for real.
That pit was a planned.
Mhm.
It was planned for his future, right?
Mhm.
But he couldn't see that at the time, and he only ended up in a pit because they were really trying to kill him.
For real.
His brother Reuben stopped that
Mhm.
and put him in the pit and sold him.
Yeah.
But so you cannot always share everything that you are desiring
Mhm.
with everybody. Everybody can't handle that.
That's good.
So you have to be very thoughtful about what you need to do.
Mhm.
And this was his family.
Mhm.
Um, what you need to do and who you need to share with.
That's good. I love that. And I think when you said that, that brought me back into like, we are definitely in a whole different era of like the world. And,
Mm-hmm.
we have social media. And one thing I know for sure about myself is that I want to be able to be accessible in my life to talking about, certain things that I'm comfortable with talking about. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of times I can't really like do that, even though I want to encourage and I want to do all this stuff, there are times I'm like, I have to set that boundary, right? That healthy boundary where it's like, that everything I can't say, like there are times where I had to not say nothing to nobody. And I'm telling you, I had to wait until or whatever the plan was going to be. I had to let it happen first to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell them
Right.
in the moment because it could have messed up to a situation. Like an example, I like think last year, 2024, I'm a huge wrestling fan. So, I love wrestling. I love just
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing of that. And one of my favorite wrestlers is Bianca Belair. So
Okay.
I had the opportunity to meet Bianca, but the
Nice.
way I was able to meet her was not the ordinary way. And I couldn't
Okay.
really tell people where I was going or how I was meeting her because it could have messed up the whole plan. And I also felt bad for my friends that I knew that love wrestling because I wanted to tell them bad, but then I couldn't tell them because I had to
I
kind of
got
set
you.
that boundary of like not in the fact that like oh I want to do for myself, but sometimes you having boundaries can really set you up for purpose. Mm, my God. I was just like, I've been thinking about that because sometimes like you setting boundaries
Yeah,
can really set you up for purpose because you can't say everything that you want to say. You
you
can't do
can.
anything that you want to do because there are times
Yeah.
where you are positioned to be in private, to be in purpose and to be in position with God to the point where it's like, okay, now I gotta pace myself and place myself. So I'm gonna pace and place myself in a position where I'm gonna have to be in a private place so I can elevate myself in a natural sense in a spiritual sense with assistance with God, you know what I'm saying? And then
That's
also
right.
like, just
That's right.
having that whole thing. So yeah. I like
That's wisdom. Yeah, that's wisdom. And as you begin to associate with other acquaintances and
mm-hmm,
things of that nature, you'll have an inner circle where you can build and you can start to share
mm-hmm.
those things. But you cannot always share everything with everybody.
That's so true.
Everybody can't handle that.
So true.
And that's
Like
a small circle.
mm-hmm,
Sometimes that you don't even use all the fingers that are on your hand.
mm-hmm.
That's a small circle, and that's okay. That's okay. But it. You just have to be careful.
Okay. I appreciate that. What is a lesson that you wish you could have learned about boundaries sooner?
Setting them.
Mm.
The importance of setting them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've done damage to myself.
Mm.
Um, have caused anguish probably with my family
Mm.
because I have not set them and enforced them.
I'm telling you, I'm sitting here, like I'm listening to you, and I'm just like, wow, seriously, like that's so true. Going into like the last major piece of like the whole episode.
Okay.
So the last question is, what is one thing that the listeners like? What is one piece out of the whole episode? What is that one piece of advice that you would give to someone about protecting their peace and setting boundaries? And I think that, like, like going first, if you don't mind me going first, I think
Please
that
go. Yeah.
I thought about when it comes to like boundaries itself, everyone has their own personal life. Everyone has their own personal problems. Everyone has their own personal traumas. So just because, you may not feel what they feel at that time, or you may not know what they have been through, during that time of them being in that situation or being in that trauma, doesn't mean that it's okay, you know what I'm saying, for you to abuse that. If
Mhm.
someone's being honest with you, if someone's being vulnerable with you in that part of their life, you shouldn't go abuse it. You shouldn't purposely try to
No.
do something,
Mhm.
out of pocket. Try to make them,
Agreed.
to make them look
Agreed.
bad, or
Yep.
to make them purposely feel bad. Like, that's not okay, cuz I'm saying we're all trying to get somewhere in life. And I know for sure that for myself, I want to be so I want to be in a place to where people can trust me to the point where it's like, if you tell me something, it's safe with me. I
Mhm.
may know what you've been through. I'm I may know what you have dealt with. I know what you have, you know, you get what I'm trying to say. Like that whole thing of like, I know where you from. I know how you're feeling because you told me. I understand you. So I don't want to purposely put you on display because of, of like a negative situation. You know what I'm saying? Especially like, I know sometimes that can
Right.
happen, there can be like a little fight or something like that could happen, and then people be telling everybody business. Is like, don't do that. Try to be in a place where, even though I may disagree with you, I'm not going to purposely
Mhm.
mistreat you in front of, in public like that. So I think that that's my piece of the whole entire episode. Even though we talk about boundaries, I think like that's the main part. But what is your main part?
So, and I applaud you with that because everybody doesn't have that focus. And I guess that's my other side of what you just shared.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't hold that confidence, and it's
Mm-hmm.
really being cognizant that to know that everybody can't. Some people will use what you say, what you share with them, against you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's so important to pray.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to make sure that we're making the right connections
Mm-hmm.
with people, um, because everybody does not is not out for your good.
That's so true.
That's the only way I can say it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not looking out for your best interests,
Mm-hmm.
even in the church,
Mm-hmm.
sadly. But everybody's not, so we have to do it with wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a piece of advice for your listeners. First of all, thank you so much for having me. This has
You're
been an awesome
welcome.
conversation. In protecting their peace, I want your listeners to know that they are worthy of having peace.
Mm, that's good.
Sometimes we don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
We think we have to do other things, excuse me, to get peace.
Mm-hmm.
But we are worthy of having peace. We're worthy of setting boundaries. We're worthy of identifying our need
Mm-hmm.
to set boundaries, um, to make sure that we are really caring for our peace. Our boundaries help us to make sure that we are treated the way that we would like to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And we are worthy of that.
Yes.
We are worthy of that. I was trying to think of that other scripture. Oh, I can't think of it. But anyway, but we're worthy of that. We have to know that within ourselves. And that's not being selfish, but that's really yielding that to God,
That's so true.
and really yielding that to His care. So we're giving that to Him as our gift so that
Mm,
He can use that for His glory.
mm. Cast your cares on him.
So I will go back to, please, as you look to do things, just really pray your way through everything you encounter.
Mm.
That may be, and it sounds really cliche, but it's so true.
Mhm.
Because you never know where a casual conversation is going to lead you.
Mm.
It could lead you both ways. It could lead you to something that's really great or something that's really dangerous.
Mm.
And you really need the discernment of the Holy Spirit to help you navigate that, because you may only have a few moments to make a decision.
Mm. That's good.
And as we lift that up and we stay in that prayerful mode, we believe that God will help us in those moments. I believe it. That's my crazy faith, but I believe that God will help us. And communicate as you can your boundaries to people. But more importantly, enforce your boundaries. When you set them for whatever it may be, with your time, with your emotions, with your any verbal pieces, whatever it is that you do, enforce them in a healthy way. We don't have to be negative or evil when we enforce our boundaries, and we don't have to feel guilty about that. It's an act of self care.
Mm.
We got to love ourselves. That's it. We got to love ourselves too to love others.
That's good.
And that's going back to that whole breathing. We got to breathe first before we can assist somebody else.
Yes. You know what I thought about? You ever heard that
Yes,
saying that says, hurt people hurt people?
absolutely.
I want
Absolutely. It's so true.
and I want to rephrase that and says, loved people love people. Everyone, the way that they have been raised has been different. So I
Mm-hmm.
know me personally, I'm grateful to have parents that are loving.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, a
You have
mom and a
awesome
dad.
parents. Yes.
Like I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful to have you in my life. I'm so grateful to have my
Oh, you're so
godpops,
sweet.
my cousins, just family in general, family friends that
Mm-hmm.
are so meaningful to me. I am so grateful for them because it can just be a lot, It like just life itself can be a lot. So I really believe that even though and I know they say that hurt people, I want to say that love people can love on other people. And we have to learn how to do that. Now, like I said, every day is different. I know
Every day.
every day is different, so we still try to love you, no matter what. Because sometimes there be days I'm like, oh my goodness, this day has been going crazy. It's been going crazy, but I still try to, show appreciation, still show them love, no matter what my circumstance is. I try not to be two faced. I try to be the same person that I am today, and even like those boundaries. If I'm not feeling okay, and if I'm not well, I will let you know that. I'm not going to purposely just let you talk to me, and then like I'm not
That's
okay,
right.
So like and doing it in how can I say and doing it in a respectful way, like you said. Right now, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm not able to talk right now. I'm going through something, a little bit personal. And just if you give me some time, I'll be right back with you. You see how that is? You do it with
Right.
grace.
And then sometimes you don't have to share your whole story. Like, now is just not a good time. You
Mhm.
don't have to go into detail
Mhm.
of why now is not a good time, but now is just not a good time.
Mhm.
Because again, you have other people that don't always have your best interest at heart.
Yes.
So you have to take care of yourself. You have to value your needs,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
Because as much as we like to give to others,
Mhm.
we have needs too.
So true.
And we want others to value our needs. And we really want to create healthy relationships based on mutual respect. And that's what we talked about, not just giving our that detailed list of here are all my boundaries,
Mhm.
right? Because when you're in a relationship, you got to work on those together.
Mhm. And also too, I was just gonna mention that every part is different. Like every piece to, doing all that when it comes to just having people, you know, our boundaries evolve all the time. So no matter whether it may be, me being a teenager, it may change for me being an adult. It's going to change for me, being how can I say an adult,
That's right. That's
being an
right.
elderly person. So like the boundaries change over time.
Boundaries evolve as we grow. What our veto is today may not be what it is tomorrow.
Mm.
And that's okay. because we're in a different place.
Mhm.
So our boundaries shouldn't stay stagnant. They should grow with us.
Mhm.
But it's really just honoring what we had said before, um, about really why we're setting boundaries. We set boundaries so we can take care of ourselves and
Yes.
that we can value our needs. Just like we trying to help somebody else's needs, we have needs as well.
Mhm.
And then we want to create healthy relationships
That's good.
that do not cause us angst and build them on mutual respect.
Yes. That's good. This is some good stuff. But thank you so much again, Miss Theresa, for doing this interview with
Oh,
me. I appreciate you so much.
thank you so much for having this. I pray for you. I pray for all of your listeners, that they become the people that God has called them to be. Um, Always love yourself.
Mm,
You cannot love somebody else until you love yourself.
that's good. That's good. That is some. See, hallelujah. See, I'm gonna get up in here and shout. My praise it. See, just now I'll be tearing up the carpet at church, okay? Now, and I'll be
Oh,
getting fine.
yes, you do.
And see,
Yes, you
and
do.
some people be coming to me, be giving me fines and stuff. I'm talking about, I'm praising the Lord. I don't need to get a fine right now. Look, guess what? You know what? I'm gonna change it and say He paid it all. Hey, glory, my God.
He did. He did.
So yes, but thank you again. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, I appreciate you more. Listen, we wish you all the best in school and all in your endeavors. Just know how much you are loved because you are.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to Chat and Chill with Sean. If you enjoyed the show, please follow, leave a review, and don't forget to share it with a friend. New episodes drop every other Thursday, so be sure to stay tuned. You can listen to Chat and Chill with Sean on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and all major platforms. Don't forget to follow me on social media at The Official Sean for all the latest updates. Thanks again for listening. I love you much. Jesus loves you more. Peace out. Bye.